What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, and we got my mans back in here today. For those who don't know you, please introduce yourself to the people.
Thanks for having me on again. TreJean Watkins here. Cover the Titans for BlackSportsOnline and TitansBrawl. I do Titan stuff, general NFL content here and there. So that's basically what I'm doing out here right now.
That's what's up, man. Good to have you back, man. It's ever since our last podcast, the teams have just been going in two separate directions. Today's topic, folks, we're gonna kind of do a preview of the Jags versus Titans, and this is a tale of two teams, like I said, going in two separate directions. The Jaguars, if we were in the NBA, we're headed to the lottery. At the top of the draft with the number 2 pick, but hopefully it brings brighter days, Then the Titans, man, I was talking to another content creator, and we were talking. He was like, no, matter of fact, I was talking to my barber. Matter of fact, that's why he got me all silky smooth right now. I was talking to my barber, and he's a Giants fan. He said, who are your top 2 teams right now in the AFC? And he said, your top 2 won't be my top 2. I said, okay. I said, right now, number 1 for me is Kansas City. I think they're an absolute beast right now. And I said, my number 2 might surprise you. He's like, who? I said, Tennessee. And he's like, that's my 2. I said, dude, it's obvious when you watch them. Yeah, the Browns, you have those games where the Browns, just Baker Mayfield was on. If he was off, they would have blew them out. We seen what happened to him last year and what they did to him last year. But the Titans, I think they have every ingredient to go deep into the playoffs, man, because as long as Tannehill does not turn the football over, it's going to be hard to beat him. He has to play a bad game, and the defense, the secondary has to play a bad game for you to beat the Titans.
Yeah, I will say that the driving force for the Titans for the rest of the season and for the playoffs, if they do get there, will in fact be their offense. It's one of the best in football. I believe they're top 3 in scoring and total points among the rest of the NFL, and they've consistently remained in the top half of scoring average per game throughout this crazy 2020 NFL season. I will say that the one thing that will hold this Titans team back is the fact that their defense is simply just not good. Sure, a couple injuries ravaged it earlier on in the regular season, but as the defense has gotten a little bit healthier, the performance still hasn't gotten better. They can't stop the pass. The linebackers are inconsistent in filling the run. It's just a whole bunch of problems right now. So if they don't get those sort of problems fixed before the playoffs, then there's a potential they can be knocked out of the playoffs early. I know we're not close to the playoffs beginning. Probably about under a month and a half, away from the playoffs going on. But that's just the general vibe with the Titans, is that if their defense can't get it together, they could be an early exit from the playoffs.
Defense wins championships still. As good as quarterbacks have been, as great as offense have been, 3rd overall in scoring, you have to shore up the defense. And I saw Clowney's done, and I think it was 8 games, no sacks, and what he made like $8 million this year or something like that, or 50, I think it was 15 they paid him. That's a lot of money for diddly squat. And I wanted him here in Jacksonville, man. And I was like, because I already knew Jacksonville's pass rush was going to suffer without Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue, and it did. We've been terrible up until the last couple of weeks or so. DeJuan Smoothes came on strong. The kid Adam Gotsis, we lost him to injury, but Hamilton, the defensive tackle. Taven Bryan hasn't been terrible. He's the whipping boy right now on as far as the defensive side of the ball, as far as people go in, because he was a 1st round pick, and but he just hasn't produced and became what we thought, and we passed over Lamar Jackson to get him, so he's always has the light shined on him very brightly. The secondary right now is a patchwork of guys. I mean, you got guys in there who weren't on the team to start the year who are playing meaningful snaps. So it's going to be a rework for this new GM, which as far as GM is concerned, I've been hearing a lot of names floated around. John Dorsey is one that I like. Some of the ones that's kind of off the radar a little bit. Louis Riddick is one. Bucky Brooks is one. And anytime I bring those two guys up, people are like, well, they don't have any experience. They've just been on TV, blah, blah, blah. Mike Mayock and John Lynch, no experience, and look at what they're doing right now.
Yeah. Hey, I think the one name that I'd be most interested in for that, or I guess of the names that you mentioned would probably be Louis Riddick. I believe he has experience. He's a player, and he even had an interview with the Giants for their GM job before they settled on.
Yep.
I believe.
Bucky played for the Jaguars. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah. So Riddick even got an interview. He has some experience. So I think Riddick would be the guy that I would be most interested in out of those names that you just mentioned.
Yeah. I'm ready to see. Hopefully, within the new GM comes a new coaching search because Doug Marrone and those guys are out of here. Which I will give credit to Todd Wash. I've been very, very critical of Todd Wash for a long time. I mean, I felt like Todd Wash should have been gone after we went to the AFC Championship game. I've been that tough on him because just the way he's called defense. But I will give him his props for this group that he's had to work with this year. For whatever reason, these guys having undrafted rookies and, guys, late round guys, they played decent football, man. They've been in some games. Even though some of them, the score wasn't indicative of how the game really went. Like we lost 27-3 to the Steelers, but that game was it wasn't. They didn't put that. The Steelers didn't get to put it away until late in the game. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins did not look good, especially early on. The way they went at Aaron Rodgers early on. When we went to Green Bay, I thought Green Bay was going to put up 50 points, and for them to do what they did to Aaron Rodgers, because what it was a bad matchup for Green Bay. Green Bay is more of a finesse team. They run those screens and run those draws, and Jacksonville was all over it and they tackled well, But talking about the Titans coming up, I have a tough time thinking that they're going to be able to keep Tannehill in pocket, man. I don't see it because the play action with King Henry is deadly, man. It's deadly because the keys to the game on both sides is Jacksonville needs to stop Derrick Henry. The Titans have to stop James Robinson. If that defense does not stop James Robinson, it's going to be a long day. Only Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry has more rushing yards than James Robinson. He's 7th in receiving yards as far as running backs, and I think he's 2nd in total yards or something like that. So you have to stop the running backs. Those are the straws that stirs the drinks on both sides.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's been especially true over these past couple of weeks. Starting with that Colts game, the Titans offense, or in Baltimore, excuse me, that win against Baltimore, the offense came alive in the second half, and it ended up leading the charge towards a win in overtime. And then you get to the Colts game the following week, they put up 38 points as an offense against that Colts defense, which ranks in the top half of the league. Plenty of defensive statistics. And even though DeForest Buckner and a couple of defensive line, it was Buckner, Autry, a couple big linebackers for that Colts defense were out, that's still a well-coached unit, and it still has some guys that can make plays on that defensive side of the ball. So seeing that Titans offense pick that defense apart like that was really, really impressive. And even though the Titans lost to the Browns last week, they still put up 35 points. Now, some of those points did come while the game was out of reach, but the Titans did move the ball relatively well against the Browns. They just ran into a couple turnovers and some weird decisions on 3rd and 4th down that stalled drives. But the Titans offense has played relatively really good football over these past couple of weeks, and it all starts with Derrick Henry. matchup last week with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt versus Derrick Henry was advertised everywhere. And although Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt didn't put up the numbers, I guess, because the spotlight was geared towards Baker Mayfield and the passing attack for most of the day, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt did actually, in fact, rip off some big runs. They just didn't need a whole bunch of carries to do so, and they just didn't need a whole bunch of carries, period, just because the game was out of reach. I guess as the third quarter or even as halftime hit. So, and even because of that, Derrick Henry didn't get the carries that he usually get, so he can get his production and be the big star of the day on offense. So, um, stopping the running backs for the Titans, that's the big key, and it's also a big key when you have James Robinson. He put up over 100 yards rushing against the Titans in their Week 2 meeting. So stopping Henry, stopping the rushing attacks for both teams will be a really, really big key for both teams if they want to win on Sunday.
Oh, definitely. And as far as Jacksonville's offense, besides stopping Robinson, Mike Glennon and that offensive attack, that passing attack has to start fast. He seems to he has a connection with the tight ends that Minshew and Luton just didn't have or couldn't connect or whatever. Because I think the tight ends had more catches in the first half than I think they had majority of the season, man. If I'm not mistaken, the tight ends had about 10 catches, and I think they came into the game with less than 20. Like it's something like that. So he's found something there with the tight ends. Tyler Eifert isn't Eifert when he was in Cincinnati. James O'Shaughnessy is still coming up. He's coming off of ACL tear last year. He's not quite back to where he was, but he's looked decent in spots. DJ Chark has had might be a year to forget for him, just because the play has been spotty, and he is the guy. He is the guy. He's the guy who they roll coverage to. He's the guy who you double team if you're going to double team anybody on Jacksonville. And so when he's the guy, other guys have to step up. Laviska Shenault, they need to. I'm ready for a coach to be able to use him more because he's a multi-dimensional chess piece, man. He's a running back playing wide receiver, basically. Same with Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole's have been playing good football. Chris Conley, this is a year to forget for him. But the one that's really stuck out the last two games, and I hope he continues to trend upward, is Colin Johnson, the wide receiver from Texas. He's 6'6". Man, he's balled the last two games, man. He's played very well.
Yeah, Colin. I remember watching Colin Johnson during that year at Texas when they had that start to the season where Texans fans were so excited about the Texas football program, then they ultimately fell flat on its face. But it was Colin Johnson and was a couple weapons at Texas that really stood out to me. So it's fun to see big, tall wide receivers succeed in the NFL. So good on Colin Johnson. Will definitely be one to watch on Sunday as the Titans are dealing with some injuries at corner. DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, those two guys caused or gave the Titans a lot of trouble the last time they played against each other. I think Malcolm Butler has improved his play from them. And I think some of the secondary players as a whole have improved their play from them. But handling all those weapons that you just mentioned might be more, I guess you could say, difficult than at first thought. I guess I'm trying to think of the words, but the Titans are dealing with some injuries in the secondary. Adoree Jackson continues to remain out. Breon Borders, he's the guy who's been replacing Adoree Jackson in the lineup opposite Malcolm Butler at that boundary quarter spot the past couple of weeks. He's out for this game with an injury. So and Christian Fulton, their rookie, he's not expected to be activated off of IR for this game. So the Titans secondary could be in a little bit of a flux on Sunday against the Jags. Now, luckily, I guess you could say it's the Jags, but the Jags have still been in some games, and that includes with their passing attack contributing heavily to that effort towards staying in games against good teams. So it'll be somewhat of a test for the secondary because it's challenged because of injuries, lack of talent over there right now. So it'll be a good matchup on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so. I think this game, and it being a divisional game too, this is going to be a close game. Titans could pull away late. I would expect them to, especially if Tannehill can get that play action passing game going. I expect them, especially late, middle of the third, start to pull away and probably win by double digits. That would be my prediction for this game. But I do believe it'll be close early. Now, the only way that it's not that it's close late is that means to me that's going to mean that they can't get to not Tannehill, but Glennon. We have to get to Tannehill, of course, but Titans pass rush has to get to Glennon. The Jaguars offensive line, they face scrutiny over the years of not being that good, but I see nobody's really talking about how good they've been this year. They've been a decent squad, man. A lot of times when guys have been under pressure, it's only been a few games where guys snapped the ball and he's just under pressure and they can't block. Like they couldn't really block the Chargers. They had an issue blocking the Chargers. Early on, it was another game that we had issues. They had issues with the Steelers too. But for the most part, man, guys have time to throw the ball. And Glennon, he's like 6'7", 6'8". He can't really move like that. But if you allow him to stand tall in the pocket, he's going to beat you like any other quarterback would.
Yeah, and that would be a sort of a concern for the Titans because the Titans can't really rush the passer. Harold Landry, who led the Titans with 9.5 sacks last year, only has 4.5 to this point so far. And even then, he hasn't looked all that impressive on the field so far this year. Jeffrey Simmons has been the Titans' best pass rusher, period. He's been their best defensive player, period, this year. He can cause a lot of trouble in the interior of the defensive line. So the Titans really need a game out of him so they can make Mike Glennon as uncomfortable as possible and keep the pressure off their secondary and their linebackers in coverage. So getting Landry, getting Simmons, and even getting Tuzar Skipper and David Roberson some snaps to get going in that pass rush will go a really long way towards this Titans defense having sort of a bounce back performance after last week's debacle against Cleveland.
Yeah, it would. The Jaguars pass rush has been like a Rubik's Cube, man. It's been hard to figure out. It has, man. Because Josh Allen, he's had a year to forget. He hasn't. He is the guy, just like DJ Chark is the guy at wide receiver. So what the protections and the shifts, they're going to go to Josh Allen. Double teams are going to go to Josh Allen. So it's going to leave other guys freed up. He's been faced a lot of scrutiny as well. Kayvon Chason, our first round pick, by way of the Rams. Right now, the Rams won the Jalen Ramsey trade, hands down. You got a future, probably first ballot Hall of Famer if he keeps this up, versus a rookie who, he's a rookie and he still needs time, and a potential pick in the late 20s upcoming in this year's draft. So right now, the Rams are sitting pretty at winning this trade right now. But Kayvon played his best game against Minnesota. I think he's starting to turn the corner. He's coming on. I think Josh Allen is back. He hasn't been Josh Allen of last year, but he's back from his injury. The guy who's been kind of a bit of a star the last couple of weeks, and he's had his moments over the years, and he's in a contract year. And so you know how that is. Guys in contract years and they play well, teams are kind of hesitant, man. It's like, yeah, you got motivation right now, man. And that's Dewan Smoot. Dewan Smoot has looked really, really good. And he said he wants to be here in Jacksonville. He just purchased a house here. But he said he knows his worth and he wants to be paid as such. So I think they can get it done because I don't think he's going to command Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack or, Von Miller money or anything like that. So I think they'll be able to get it done. As far as our linebackers are concerned, I think the linebackers are the best group on our defense, hands down. Joe Schobert hasn't been flashy, but he's been steady. Miles Jack is a Pro Bowler. He's one of the top linebackers in the league right now. I know PFF he's been ranked in the top 5 in linebackers as far as grades this entire year. He's played very well. The secondary, yeah, it's been a patchwork, man. Without Henderson's going down. Herndon has been spotty. We had Sidney Jones come on. Sidney Jones had played well. He played well against Devontae Adams when we went to Green Bay. He had an interception on Aaron Rodgers, but he's been in and out of lineup. He has been hurt. Jarrett Wilson is probably the most steady in the group, but he's not a flash player. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's consistent and he tackles well at the free safety spot. And then Jones at strong safety, it's been hit or miss, man. So all in all, you have a defense that's been a patchwork, but they played well collectively, which is strange. It's strange to say we won in 11. There's nothing to really cheer about, but this group has, they played particularly well, especially the last couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing I've seen from people who talk about the Jags is that even though they won 11, yes, bad record, and the theme of their season is the tanking and trying to get Trevor Lawrence or whatever quarterback they can get to resurrect their franchise. It's the fact that this team has just been scrappy. It's full of young, talented guys at important positions on both sides of the ball. They compete. They're physical. They don't quit. And so when you play a team like that, especially when you're a contender and you're this late into the season, maybe some guys are trying to pack it in a little bit and get ready for the playoffs. You can come across a team like that and you can sometimes get surprised if you lay over and don't expect a full 100% effort from the team across from you. And that's what happened with the Titans a couple years ago when they had Mike Mularkey at the helm and they lost to the Jaguars on the road and it ended up killing their playoff hopes for that season. So when you play a young, scrappy team like this, that even though the record doesn't show it, they still play hard and they still compete. You could get caught flat-footed. You could find yourself with a loss if you're not too careful.
Yes, you can, man. It's what they call trap games.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay and Minnesota were lucky, and I mean they were lucky because what Green Bay found out when they played us is that you can't sleepwalk through games. Green Bay, you're not good enough to do so. You need to come out, and their coach criticized them. LaFleur criticized them after the game, saying that the intensity and emotion just wasn't there. It's because it was the Jaguars. That's what it was. But they found out you can't do that. You can't be the Chiefs and come in sleepwalking and they go, oh man, we need to play some football and then put up 30 points. You're not able to do that. You got to come out and you got to start fast and start early. Minnesota found out the same thing. Minnesota was sleepwalking early. Kirk Cousins was terrible early. Had a terrible miscommunication with Dalvin Cook that led to a pick six by Schobert. It was just an egregious throw. Like, why would you throw that football? It was dumb. It was a dumb decision to make. But the mistakes by the Jaguars, being a young team, being a 1-11 team, of course, bailed out those teams. But if the Titans aren't careful, yeah, you're right. And losing to the Jaguars right now, it can really put a damper on their playoff hopes because there's a 10-win team in the AFC that's probably not going to make it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a couple teams that could end up 9-7 or maybe 10-6, and they still wouldn't make the playoffs. I know Oakland is still chasing the playoff spot. I know Miami.
Yep.
I know Indianapolis is still chasing a playoff spot. There's plenty of teams that are just chasing playoff spots, and if you lose a bad game this late in the year, you can end up sitting at home and watching everybody else fight for the rest of fight for those playoff spots and fight for the right to stay in the winter tournament for the NFL. And Baltimore's still fighting for a playoff spot. That's just another team. You have to be on 10 toes down with everything, with your preparation, your execution, everything this late in the year, because one wrong move, one false step, one bad decision could really derail your playoff hopes if you're fighting for a playoff spot. And even for the Titans, they're still fighting for a division title with Indianapolis right now. So
Yeah.
you can't slip up right now. So if you do slip up, you can end up watching yourself and you can end up seeing your goals falter away in the dust. So
Yeah. Y'all done playing the Colts? Because have the Colts came
uh,
to Tennessee yet?
yeah, the Colts came to Tennessee on Thursday Night Football and whooped them, but then the Titans went to Indianapolis and whooped them
Whooped
back.
them. So yeah, you're 1-1. So right there, you in with the same record. It's gonna come down to schedule.
Exactly, and
So
both teams are 8-4. So
mhm.
it all comes down on what you can do against the rest of the AFC, the rest of your opponents, your
Yep.
AFC opponents, and the rest of your schedule in general. So you got to
Yeah.
stay on top of everything.
Yeah. And it feels weird to say, but beating Jacksonville is a must win for Tennessee if you want
Yeah.
to put this away.
100%. Because after Jacksonville for the Titans, you have Detroit, uh, who won against Chicago this past Sunday, I believe. And even though Chicago's offense isn't all that bad, their defense is still pretty good.
Yes.
In fact, it's one of the best in football, and the Lions put up 34 on them. So you can't
Mm.
sleep on the Lions either. And then in Week 16, you got the Green Bay Packers. It's a road game, mid to
Mm.
late December in Lambeau Field. Those are special games and those are tough games. And then you close out the year against the Texans, who have played really well under Romeo Crennel this past couple of weeks. So the into the schedule, the regular season schedule for the Titans is no cakewalk whatsoever. And they treat it that way, then they'll find themselves in some trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a tough closing schedule, man, because
Mm-hmm.
going to Green Bay, and then Deshaun Watson, you got to go see Deshaun Watson. Like it's going to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lions are such a wild card, man. You don't know what you're going to get. And
Not at all.
I think what they had lost, the Bears had beat them like 5 straight times or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it be and
Something like that.
they put up some numbers on them, man. So it's going to
Yeah.
be interesting. Jacksonville down the stretch, though. I mean, I always want to win. I always want to win. Always.
Yeah,
I don't care. I always want to win. I would wish we finished our season winning 4 in a row. I would love to see that. But 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 yeah. I don't see the Jets winning a game. Now I think their chances to win a game. They've had their chances, and I don't see them winning the game. So
Oh.
I think that Trevor Lawrence is a Jet unless he decides he either stays in school or he tells them straight up he pulls a Elway or Eli Manning and say, "No, I'm not coming there." So that option that let's go ahead and take him off the table. He's off the table. Now with Justin Fields, and I like Justin Fields. I think I had him right below Trevor Lawrence early on, and then after seeing him, I had him like right on par. But the more I've seen of him, the less I've liked him. I still like him, and I wouldn't mind them taking him at 2. I wouldn't be mad at that. And I think he can play. I think he's a better passer than Lamar was at this point in college coming out. And I think he'll be a better passer going forward. I don't quite think he's Kyler Murray with the football, but I think he's better than Lamar throwing the football. But Zach Wilson is somebody who I haven't watched Zach Wilson. I'm in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
so Brigham Young games I haven't seen any here. Kyle Trask, no,
Don't want.
no, man. And you being here and I'm essentially in Gator country. This is
Mm-hmm.
where UF fans are. Miami is Miami. It's a lot of Florida State fans here too, but this is Gator country. Jacksonville is Gator country. There's more Gator fans than anything, and they want Trask. And I try to tell. First of all, Florida quarterbacks historically have been terrible, just like Ohio State quarterbacks. I look like their NFL lineage, and it's terrible. It's not a lot of good quarterbacks at all. We talking about Craig Krenzel, J.T. Barrett, Braxton Miller, Cardale Jones. Troy Smith, names like that.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Florida. There hasn't been historically good quarterbacks coming from Florida. About Trask, though, I mean, his arm talent, I think, it's above average. Arm strength is average, sometimes maybe above average. He can throw some beads. He's not very nimble in the pocket, that's going to be key for avoiding a rush in the NFL. And it seems to be more about timing and precision than about just raw arm talent for him. And he's playing with NFL players right now. Kyle Pitts is a top 5 pick. That dude is absolute beast. Same with Kadarius Toney. So I don't know, man. But my favorite is Trey Lance. So Jaguars can lose out and get the 2 pick. I don't know if they would take Trey Lance from North Dakota State at 2, but I mean, I wouldn't be against it because I don't think you're going to be able to get Trey Lance in the 20s. I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see it. Now this was my scenario. I said, now what if say we finish with the 2 pick and you take Kyle Pitts number 2. I think that'll be the highest a tight end has ever been drafted, if I'm not mistaken. I think the only other one that's been drafted close to being that high might be Kyle Brady. I know Vernon Davis went very high, but Kyle Brady, I think, went really high to the Jets. He's former Jaguar. But taking Kyle Pitts at 2 and then coming back and getting, say, somebody like Trey Lance later on. Because I don't know if Trey is a top 10 lock right now because of his lack of a season. He only played 1 game and they're done. But I don't know. I would roll the dice and do something like that. But if they take Justin Fields, I'm not mad at it, man. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I think you would have to be happy with whatever top quarterback the Jags get out of the top of the draft. Justin Fields is good, and even though he still has some work to do in terms of the process and on the field, I think he can be a real good guy. Same with Trey Lance. He's one of those guy with the physical tools that you love to see on the football field from a quarterback. If you can get a nice staff around him, some weapons around him, it'll be fun to see what he can build and what he can do towards succeeding in Jacksonville. And I really like Zach Wilson as well. He's came on to the draft scene, that first round conversation, ever since he's kept on dropping a lot of these great performances that he's had this year. A lot might say it's a lack of competition, whatever, but the tools are there. He's small, but his arm talent is electric, and he's just a playmaker out on the field. So it'll be fun to see whatever goes on at the top of the draft for the quarterbacks, because it has the potential to be the most chaotic quarterback-related draft in a while. So it'll be fun to see what happens at the top of the draft and with Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, one guy that can throw a wrench in the plans, and it's depending on if he declares or not. Personally, I think he's going back and he's going to finish his senior year. But Mac Jones. Mac Jones is very, very interesting to me because he's from here in Jacksonville. He played at Bowles High School. I got to see him up close in playoff games here because my brother, they played against him. And so I got to see him up close, and with Bowles, they ran the football, so he threw the ball some, but he didn't throw it much. So, I couldn't really judge him that much, but the little bit I did see, I wasn't highly impressed because he was very built up, being one of the best in the city, but I didn't think he was the best on the field that game. Actually, Ivory Durham, he's quarterback of Raines High School, who's at Savannah State now, I felt like was the better quarterback on the field at both times they played. But Mac has come a long way, man, and I have to give him props. He has the best deep ball in all of college football, hands down. Nobody's deep ball is better than Mac Jones, man. And it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do and whether he comes out. I think he's probably going to go back. He seems like a kid who he's enjoying his time there. He's probably going to go back, especially if he wants to boost his draft profile, because right now I think he's projected, if he comes out, like a second or third round pick at best. So if I'm him, I would probably go back. What do you have to lose? Go back, build your stock, and probably come out the first round pick. But if he does come out, he could sneak into that bottom of the first round, man.
Yeah, that's the range that he's been rumored to be around lately because of his performance at Alabama. That late first round range, around 25 to 32, somewhere around that. That's been the rumored range for him lately. I think he had more ways or more reason to declare over staying for a senior year at Alabama, simply because Jalen Hill, some weapons are going to be gone from the Alabama team. Jalen Waddle is most likely gone. Devontae Smith is going to be gone. Najee Harris might be gone as well. So um, I don't know if Mac Jones will want to stay there for another year. Not throwing the ball to those two playmakers and watching Najee Harris rumble over guys in the run game. So whatever he does, he'll uh, do it in the best interest of him. But I certainly think there'll be more incentive of him declaring and taking that game one into the first round range instead of just coming back for a year and playing with some guys at the wide receiver and running back position.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. Najee's done. I think Najee's a senior, so yeah, he's definitely done.
Okay.
Devontae's stock is high. I don't see he doesn't gain anything by playing another snap at Alabama right now. I mean, he could
He
stop right
doesn't.
now, and he's going top of the draft. Waddle is probably
National
gone as well.
championship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it was.
yeah, Waddle's gone. So and you got Mechie, you got Slate Bolden, 19. I can't remember his name. He plays. He's pretty good. And then you got Robinson, number 4, at the running back spot. So you're gonna have some guys, but I don't know. We'll see. But I'm interested. I'm always excited to watch Jaguar football, regardless of how the team is. But I love when we play divisional opponents because it seems like anything can happen, no matter how bad we've been over the years, and we've been bad. We've always seemed to get in games where we're able to hit our divisional opponents in the mouth. Like one of the stats for us as far as divisional opponents that shocked me when I heard it was against the Colts. The Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014, and I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't know it's been that long since they were able to win here. That really, really interests me. That's intriguing to me. And I said we've been bad for the majority of those years too.
Yeah. I mean, it's always when you have divisional games, you can't really expect one thing or the other simply because that division games always have something crazy or interesting in store. Uh, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the familiarity between the two teams, or maybe if it's just magic. Who knows? But it seems like divisional games across the NFL always have something in store and something crazy for us to witness.
Oh yeah, man. So okay. Yeah, so we got about 5 more minutes, man. So what's your prediction for Sunday?
My prediction for Sunday, I think the Titans will handle business down there in Jacksonville. Um, if they can get the run game going, which I think they can against that Jacksonville front, then they can take advantage of the play action game and start getting that passing game going. Because even though that Jacksonville defense does play some scrappy football, they're still not all that talented, I guess you could say, collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans are very talented on the offensive side of the ball. Corey Davis is having the best year of his career. AJ Brown is looking fantastic once again. He's had some drop problems this year, but the drop problems just haven't, I guess you could say, overshadowed the success he's had this year. Jonnu Smith is still an athletic weapon at the tight end position. And even behind him, you have Ferkser, who's a good, reliable guy on third down. So, and you can't leave out Derrick Henry, the
Yeah.
leading rusher, one of arguably the best running back in football, and the bell cow for this Titans offense. So this Titans offense is extremely talented on the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball has talent. It just hasn't performed this year. They've had some good performances mixed in here and there these past couple of weeks. Baltimore, Chicago, and even Indy on the road against Indy. So if the Titans defense can get, I guess you could say, the stops, and they can play some consistent football throughout the game, I think the Titans offense will start scoring those points, and I think we could see a game where the Titans win by 2 or 3 scores at the end. But it's a divisional game, and it's crazy things a lot of crazy things have happened when the Titans go down to Jacksonville. So I'll leave in the room for a really, really close game, but I expect the Titans to win by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, same, man. Everything you just said, same here. With the Jaguars, they're a scrappy bunch, but collectively, overall, they're not very talented, but they do play together. They play well and they tackle well. One of the biggest issues for them is when you go over their heads. So outside the numbers, down the field, Tannehill has if they can attack that, it'll be a wrap. It'll be a wrap early if they can do that. What they've been good at is when they keeping stuff in front of them. So all those screens, draws, middle of the fields, the slant, stuff like that, they're on all of those. But when you go down the field, that's where the issues start, because those corners, our corners are, we got fifth string corners right now out there. So if they can attack down the field, it'll be a long day. But if Jacksonville bottles up Henry and Henry can't get going, let's say they hold him to like 70 yards or less, they're going to have a chance to win at the gun for sure. Same on the offensive side of the ball. If James Robinson can turn in another 125 plus total yards with a touchdown or two, and Mike Glennon can stay clean in the pocket, I mean, this could be a game, man. And with Mike Vrabel, which I criticized that hire from the beginning. I was like, man, I don't know, man. Mike Vrabel, are they sure? I was like, man, we got to see. But you'll never hear anything from me. I wish we had him here because I think he's a really good coach. I think he's a really good coach, man. And if anybody's going to figure out how to play good defense down the stretch, him and that staff, they'll pretty much figure it out. So I see Titans, let's say 30 to 17, man. 30 to 17, 30 to 14 or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
That's in the same realm as me. I'll have around 27-30 Titans to 20-17 Jags. That's somewhere around my range as well.
Yeah, man. Man, but I appreciate you for coming on, man. Give me some of your time. And I know, like you say, it's the end of the school year. You've been stressed out, man. You gotta this a little release for you, man. This is therapeutic, man. It's therapeutic. Okay? You get to take your mind off it. Hey, take your mind off the grades, take your mind off of life, work, all those things, man. And just talk about your passion and just talk, man.
Yeah, just especially because I've been catching up on sleep these past couple of days. I've been
wrong with that.
Sleeping in a lot more often these days, man. And shoot, man, I've been trying to sleep, get my rest back, and I'm trying to get charged up. So yeah, I've been just been trying to recover all the, I guess you could say, the stress-free mindset that I had before I started school and all the stuff that I'm doing on top of that.
Yeah, man, I feel it, man. I feel it. Yeah, hey, same here, man. Trying to get that rest, get that sleep. I'm ready for Christmas break because I work for a college, so I'm gonna be out during Christmas break as well. So it's gonna be doing other stuff, but focus is gonna be right here and putting out more content and figuring out how I want to do my channel and get things going, man, and just growing, man, and getting better every day, and staying consistent. Because that's one thing about it. It gets very intimidating when you want to do something like this, when you want to start anything, because anything you want to start, most likely people have done it and they've started or they're doing it already. And if you look at certain industries, there's a lot of people doing it. And so you're like, man, there's so many people here. You got so many people there. They're over here. They've been this far. They have this many followers. They have this many listens. They have this. They have that. Man, and I'm just a newbie and I'm just starting. But you got to keep going, man. You have to keep going. You can't let that deter you, because people start, but what happens? People don't finish. Yeah, all the time, man. People don't finish, man. So you have to start and
100%.
stay consistent with it, man, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. If you just keep on chugging and doing your thing, then one way or another, I believe a break will fall your way because that's just how life goes. Um, Life literally or normally rewards the hardworking people. This world rewards the hardworking people, whatever profession or whatever thing you want to do or passion in your life that you have. The world usually rewards those hardworking people, and they reward them with the success that they deserve. So keep on working hard, keep on at it, and one day you'll get your break, and you'll look back at all the hard work that you did before when maybe your listens count was low, or maybe your view count was low, or maybe your follower count was low, or maybe you just weren't writing for the site that you wanted, or making a podcast for this website or for this company or whatever it is. You're gonna look back and you're gonna appreciate the hard work that you put in because it got you to where you are now. And I don't think there's anything better than that.
Yeah, man. As the old folks will say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
You got that right, man. You got that right.
Yeah, man. Man, so let the people know where they can follow you.
Follow me on Twitter at TreWatkins099. Um, I do my content over there for the Titans and the general NFL for BlackSportsOnline and TitansBrawl. And I'm trying to get more into Facebook to where I can interact with more of the older, I guess some of the older people that aren't on Twitter and stuff. So get me on Facebook at TreJean Watkins. I post most of my articles there as well. So find me at Twitter, Facebook, and you'll find my content there. And I hope you enjoy it.
Oh man, okay. I didn't know you was on Facebook, man. I'll find you. Hey, I go live on Facebook. I'll be doing either Monday or Tuesday, and I'll just do a recap of the weekend. And so, man, hey, whenever we got time, man, we could do that because I got plenty of people who watch me and they interact with us interact with me on the live, man. So we can do a live show and do about 30 minutes and interact with the people and talk sports, man.
Yes, hey, sounds good. Just hit me whenever you want to try to do that now.
Yeah, man,
I'll
for
see when
sure.
I got the time to do that, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me on again, man.
Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate it, man. You're always welcome, man. Yeah, man. But I appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Check out the YouTube, True Definition of a Sports Fanatic. Podcast of the same name, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, all that good stuff, man. But I'll talk to you guys later. And until next time, peace out.